Stellar AfricaGold. I'll tell you why. It's because about a year ago, or maybe just a little over a year ago, we had an opportunity to reset the clock. We sold our very small bulk sample operations that we had in Guinea for hard cash, and we exited this market and decided to acquire some permits in Ivory Coast. We acquired some permits in Morocco as well, and we decided to apply for a permit that we had, historical permit that we had in Mali for several years. So basically it's a new story, and I've been very, very fortunate. I myself was appointed the CEO by the board just about a year ago, and we had nothing but good news since about a year ago that we started to work on these new jurisdictions, which we carefully chose before we decided to invest. Yeah, I guess I should tell you a little more about these jurisdictions, particularly Morocco, because it's not well known from the I guess the normal investors into the mining field here in North America. There is a long history of mining in Morocco, except that it's mostly national companies or state-owned companies, as opposed to major corporations listed on the US or the Canadian stock markets, or even the Australian stock markets, which are renowned for mining. And for that reason, this jurisdiction is not well known, but there is a mining history, and it's certainly worth exploring, at least for us. We're finding that it is fairly easy to work in the country, and because of the political stability, it certainly is more comforting than it's been in other jurisdictions that we've explored not long ago. We also have acquired permits in Ivory Coast, and I should say a word about it. For the moment, they're pending, and we're still very early stage and haven't had the chance yet to experience about the country and the way of doing business over in Ivory Coast. But our focus has shifted early towards Morocco, and all I can say is that we've been pleased so far with our experience ongoing in the country. I guess what we're doing is very early stage. So far, we have press released some results from our exploration campaigns. All of them were at the surface, and we have not started to work at depth yet. So they were shallow trenches. It's difficult access because our permits are located in the High Atlas Mountains, south of Marrakesh, in the High Atlas, and at 2,500 meter altitude, we do not have the access roads that we were counting on. So therefore we had to build some. We had to spend money, and it certainly took some time, not only to build, but to get the permits first. And fortunately, we have a very good partner. It's earn-in. I didn't mention that, but it's a 90% earn-in permit that we've acquired from ONIM, which is the l'Office National des Hydrocarbures et des Mines. And it is a very good partner to have. We have nothing but good words to say about ONIM. We, after building those access roads, finally were able to bring some mechanical equipment, but until that time, it was mostly done with hand tools. Therefore, very shallow trenches, ranging between 1 meter and 1.5 meters deep, maybe. But still, we were able to identify 3 gold structures. And what we really appreciated of these gold structures, particularly one of them, is that it extends over a 2-kilometer length, and it's highly visible with some arsenopyrite samples that we were able to grab and to send to the lab, and most of the results so far have been released through the news flow that we were able to get out. That started in October 2021, so less than a year ago. That's when we first identified structure A, and since then, not only have we identified structure B, but we also acquired some additional permits in the same vicinity, and we were able to identify a third structure, structure C, in the same vicinity. So yeah, we were quite pleased with these. But to come back to your question, I guess the reason the market does not appreciate so much, it's because it's all surface work, therefore it's very preliminary. And it's only when we start looking for that ore body underneath that we will probably, I hope, get some good feedback from the market at that time. We could probably say that we're very early stage in the country of Morocco, so we're ahead of the curve. So it's a story that needs to be put out there, and people will realize at one point, but only when we appear on the radar of these major companies, I suspect. But it is certainly a good story that is at the early stage of development at the moment. So that's what differentiates us, is that it's, I mean, the areas that we are currently exploring have been known by local people in the know, people in the business. It was a matter of budget. They just could not have access over there, and we have been able to raise money. We have some very good shareholders that stuck with us and that allowed us to come out there, build that access road, and now that we can bring some mechanized equipment, we should be able to start drilling soon and identify an ore body that we're all expecting. We have a little over $1 million in our treasury at the moment. We have a drill program that is scheduled to start any moment now, because we were able to strike a deal with a drilling contractor. So the equipment is moving as we speak. It should be mobilized before the end of the month, and therefore we will be drilling during the summer season, most likely between 1,000 and 2,000 linear meters. So it shouldn't cost that much money. I mean, it does not depend on our cash balance at the moment. We will do it no matter what, and the results will come out maybe a month later or so, towards the end of the summer. We will see. It depends how busy the laboratories are in the Marrakesh area. That's where we will be getting those samples analyzed. And that means probably in the fall season, towards the end of the year, we will be raising some more money to make certain that these drill campaigns are sustained one after another. We're pretty confident about the results from that first campaign due to the many trenches. I mean, we've done kilometers of trenches for the past year at surface. So yeah, we're pretty confident that we should get some positive results and be able to drill either in that same area, maybe deeper, or maybe a little further away, because between those 3 zones that I mentioned earlier, A, B, C, there is a 3-kilometer span between A and C, for example. So there is a lot of ground to explore over there, and so we will see our VP Explorations will decide on the next exploration campaign. If I can relate that to Stellar AfricaGold, you have to be there at the early stages. And as I said earlier, we kind of reset the clock a year or two ago. And so therefore, we're starting from scratch. The stock is at 5 cents right now. We have 100 million shares out, meaning 5 or 6 million market cap. So it is a very good time, and if you ultimately want to make money with a stock, you have to be there at the right time, and the right time is the earliest time possible. So that's what it is. Of course, high risk, high rewards, and you always have to consider that. But as I said earlier, we're very confident due to the findings that we have observed over the past year or so, and that's probably the best hint. Early stage is the best way to make most of your money. As far as we're concerned, like I just mentioned, we will go on with this first drilling campaign. We expect some good results. We hope to be able to do a second drill campaign before the end of the year, that's for sure. We will focus on Morocco, even though we do have some good results coming out of Mali at the moment. Mali is drill ready, so that's an advantage that it has. But the results we have from Morocco are so compelling that we've decided to focus on Morocco first. As well as Ivory Coast is concerned, we will see how we can get those pending permits fully permitted before long. And then we will have to make a decision how we go about with those. Now, if your questions is more general, I would expect that the price of gold is still good as we speak. That means the major companies are still making a lot of money as they produce for a much lower price than what they can sell, and therefore we should see some mergers and acquisitions probably towards the end of the year of the next year, just because they'll have to replenish their reserves at one point, and that's what we're working on. We're trying to create some reserves for some major companies at one point. So that's how I see it in the coming months. One thing I did not talk about, and I guess it's worth mentioning, is the good team that I have around me. I've only been appointed, as I said, a little over a year ago. Still report to the executive chairman, Mr. Cumming, who has more than 40 years of experience. He's a securities lawyer from Vancouver and has been in the mining business now for quite several years. So his experience is valuable, that he got most recently with Marex Gold when it was acquired by IAMGOLD a few years back. There are other deals that happened there before. Same thing for our exploration manager, who's a COO, Mr. Maurice Giroux, was the founding partner, I may say, of Stellar AfricaGold. He's been with the company for over a dozen of years now, and was the CEO at one point. Maurice has been working in West Africa for 25, 30 years, and not only knows the area quite well. He was the first mine manager for Semafo in Guinea back in the 90s. So he has a very good network of connections and people related to not only the area but the field of mining. He's also worked with Managem, who has been investing money not only in Morocco but throughout the African continent. And Managem is a state-owned company based in Morocco. It has several operations in Morocco but also elsewhere in sub-Saharan Africa. So, I mean, those are a good acquaintances, professional acquaintances to have, and that's why I tend to rely on my partners. We have a board member also, Mr. Belkabir, who has been very helpful in brokering the deal when we sold our Guinea operations a few years back, just before the pandemic. So all of this put together makes for a very good team around me, and that's what makes me feel confident that we can certainly achieve some great things for our shareholders in the coming years.